truck's daily driven, cross country. I mean, I can prove anything I tell you. It's been completely rebuilt, minus body work, which I don't believe in. I've swapped it. It's got a 5.3, which I done right here in this carport. My neighbors probably hate me. Rough country spindle lift. Caster and camber adjusted all the way out. Can't do anything else with it. Then they're not in spec, they're close, but it led me down a rabbit hole. I replaced every bushing, uppers, lowers. I'm talking about ball joints, upper lower ball joints, inner and outer tie rod ends, the idle arm, the pitman arm. Just replaced the whole upper control arms, new bushings in the lower control arm, ball joints, everything to try to compensate for that lack of, to keep this lift on here. Because I mean, fuck, I just like the way it looks. The motherfucker was bad, like, whatever, I think so. But with all that said, it's not worth it unless you only want to look at it and not really get the performance that you are missing out of what you could do in so many other ways. So I'm gonna take it apart and take this lift off. It's time to go. Bye-bye. Kind of impressive, isn't it? So within the past year, everything's been replaced. Those bushings, rough country shocks. They tell you to cut these off because these make contact, which is true. But I cut one off on the other side, and now that part, this part, makes contact. So it pushes the caliper in, pushes the piston in. So when you back out of a spot and you cut your wheel full lock, and then when you go to put it back in the drive and go again and hit the brake, you have to pump this back out in order to make up the distance that it did. So you have to pump it once, which ain't a big deal. You get used to it. But if you don't know what you're doing, you gotta drive this fucking thing like you mean it. My biggest concern is this. You see this? You see that? It's like putting a fucking pry bar on up here from down here. It's not meant for it. Thought it was a great idea. What? I thought it was a great idea. Okay. Yeah, they're dirty, but been replaced. A lot of miles on it. This. You see this? They tell you to cut these off because it hits here. But it still hits on the other side, even though I cut it off. This whole thing here, it's like putting a pry bar, and it pivots. So when you got wheels and tires like that, and you're pulling a trailer or things like that, this just isn't meant to be. It's not something you really want to daily. Aesthetics, the only thing you get out of it. Okay, so let's put a jack stand under it. I'm gonna take it apart. I'm gonna show you the difference. Something to keep in mind when you jack these up, you put them on jack stands. When you release this jack, if you release this jack, try not to hyperextend these. They pull out. This will hit that, and the pressure of the spring, and it's in a bind. Yeah, that's it. It's clear to see the difference. Lower ball joint, upper. Lower ball joint, upper. This, when you hit the brakes, I believe it's pivoting here and trashing that, everything. It's like axle wrap, if you understand that concept. Look at the difference in the adjustment it took to put that on there.
Back when all us boys were trying to make sense of all these dreams, I can see.
That's me making no adjustments whatsoever. Boy, that son of a sure is pretty though. Oof.